The Star City Police looking for help in the disappearance of 16-year-old Skylar Neese. It's now been 72 hours since she went missing from her West Virginia home.
We love our baby. We want her home.
Skylar was the average American girl.
She was very smart.
Super nice.
She just got along with everyone.
On the 6th of July, 2012, 16-year-old Skylar Neese disappeared from her quiet neighborhood in Star City, West Virginia. At first, it looked like a familiar missing teenager story, someone leaving home in the middle of the night and expected to come back by morning. But the truth behind her disappearance would become one of the most disturbing cases in modern true crime, not because of mystery or complexity, but because of how simple the motive seemed. The phrase that later shocked people across the country came directly from one of the girls responsible. "We just didn't like her anymore." Skylar lived with her parents and was described as intelligent, independent, funny, and close with her small circle of friends. Among those friends were two girls she had known for years, Sheila, Eddy, and Rachel, Shoaf. To people outside their group, they appeared inseparable. Photos showed them smiling together, posting online, hanging out, and acting like normal teenagers. There was nothing obvious that suggested violence or resentment. But friendships among teenagers can sometimes become difficult to understand from the outside. Arguments happen, people drift apart, emotions change quickly. In Skylar's final months, people later said things seemed different. She had reportedly become frustrated with her friends. Social media posts hinted at tension, private jokes, and possible conflict. Some messages suggested Skylar felt excluded. Still, nothing seemed serious enough to make anyone fear what was coming. On the night she disappeared, security footage captured Skylar climbing out of her bedroom window around midnight. Investigators later determined she had received communication from her friends and quietly left home to meet them. She got into a car. She believed she was spending time with friends. Instead, according to court records and later confessions, the plan had already been made. The three girls drove across state lines into a remote wooded area in Pennsylvania. What Skylar didn't know was that the other two had discussed killing her beforehand. Investigators later learned the planning wasn't impulsive. The two had talked privately, brought supplies, and chose a location. At some point after reaching the area, they walked into the woods. Then, without warning, they attacked. The details became difficult even for experienced investigators to discuss publicly. Skylar had no opportunity to escape. Afterward, the two teenagers returned home and attempted to continue life normally. The next morning, Skylar's family realized something was wrong. Her room appeared unusual. Her window was open. Her phone and belongings remained behind. At first, there was hope she had simply run away. But her parents didn't believe it. They insisted something had happened. Police began searching and interviewing friends, including Sheila and Rachel. The two presented themselves as worried teenagers. They appeared in interviews. They participated in searches. They spoke publicly. Nothing immediately connected them to the disappearance. Weeks turned into months. Missing person posters remained visible. Skylar's parents continued appearing publicly asking for answers. Meanwhile, investigators slowly started noticing inconsistencies. Statements changed, timelines shifted, digital evidence became important. Phone records, movement data, interviews, and behavior patterns gradually began creating questions. One moment especially caught attention. Months after Skylar disappeared, Sheila posted online, "We really did go on 3." At the time, most people didn't understand the meaning. Later, investigators believed the message referenced the moment all three girls entered the woods. Eventually, pressure increased. Then, everything changed. Rachel Shoaf broke. She admitted what happened. According to investigators, she led authorities to Skylar's remains in early 2013. The confession stunned everyone. There was no dramatic revenge story, no financial motive, no long-hidden secret. Investigators said the explanation was painfully ordinary. They had decided they no longer wanted Skylar in their lives. That became one of the most unsettling parts of the case. People struggled to understand how a close friendship could turn into such violence. Psychologists and commentators later discussed possible factors: teenage emotional intensity, group dynamics, immaturity, fear of confrontation, identity struggles, resentment, and the inability to handle conflict in healthy ways. But explanations never made the outcome easier to understand. Skylar's parents faced unimaginable grief. For months they searched, hoping for a different ending. Instead, they learned their daughter had trusted the wrong people during what seemed like an ordinary night. The legal process moved forward. Rachel Shoaf accepted a plea agreement and received a prison sentence. Sheila Eddy later pleaded guilty and also received a prison sentence. Because both were juveniles at the time of the crime, the legal outcomes reflected youth sentencing rules.
As we told you last week that Rachel Shoaf, one of Skylar Neese's killers, was up for her first parole hearing today. Riley Holsinger has been covering that story all day and tells us what the parole board decided and brings us the reaction of some of Neese's family members.
With Rachel Shoaf up for her first parole hearing today, Skylar Neese's family waited right here in anticipation and seeing if one of Skylar's killers would be set free.
At this time, the board is not ready to grant you parole at this time.
The words that Neese's family was hoping to hear.
Parole denied. And she doesn't deserve parole. She never did deserve parole. She's a rat that got a deal.
Shoaf said in the hearing that she wouldn't necessarily deserve parole because of her actions. She apologized to Neese's family and blamed being immature and young at the time.
In my mind, there's no words to describe the horrific act that the inmate committed against Skylar. No matter what she says now, that she was young and she didn't know better, I'm sorry. 5 and 10-year-olds know not to commit murder.
According to the West Virginia Department of Corrections, Shoaf is projected to be released from Lakin Correctional Center in April of 2028. While Sheila Eddy was sentenced to life in prison, her first parole hearing is set for May of 2028.
The case generated national attention and endless debate. People questioned warning signs. Could adults have noticed changes earlier? Were social media messages more important than they seemed? Could intervention have changed anything? There were no clear answers. Years later, the story continues to be discussed because it challenges assumptions people have about friendship. Most people imagine danger coming from strangers. This case reminded people that trust can sometimes hide conflict no one else sees.
Sheila's one of my best friends. Once I hit my teenage years, we were more like sisters. Sheila moved to Morgantown in 2010 and she was so excited to go to school with Skylar. I loved Skylar. Skylar was awesome. She was just so sweet. Sheila met Rachel her freshman year and they were also inseparable. Rachel was creepy. She gave me a very odd feeling, and I had asked Sheila afterwards not to ever bring her around again. The weekend before Skylar went missing, Sheila and Skylar and I had hung out, and everything was normal. We joked, we laughed. When Skylar went missing, it was so strange. She was not one to run away. She loved her friends, she loved her family. I suspected that Sheila and Rachel weren't telling the whole truth, but I never thought the whole truth was them.
For Skylar's family, the case was never about headlines, media attention, or becoming known across the country. It was about their daughter, a teenager who stepped out of her home believing she was meeting people she trusted and would return a few hours later. Instead, that ordinary summer night became the moment everything changed forever. What continues to disturb people about Skylar's story is not only the crime itself, but how normal everything seemed beforehand. Just 3 friends. Photos, conversations, laughter, and what appeared to be an ordinary friendship. That ordinary appearance is what still makes the case difficult for many people to understand. The idea that someone could leave home expecting a normal night and never come back remains deeply unsettling. Years later, Skylar's story is remembered not because it was impossible to solve, but because of how unexpectedly trust was broken. 3 friends, 1 summer night, and a reason that many people still struggle to understand.